Hello, little witchlings and princelings, and welcome to your weekly Coven Summoning. My name is Ilsa.
And my name is Stacy.
And we're Caffeine and Conjuring,
a fantasy bookish podcast where we will discuss some of our favorite fantasy reads.
So for today's episode, we're doing a final review of Book 3 in the Throne of Glass series in publication order, which is The Assassin's Blade. So before you listen to this episode, if you don't want any spoilers, make sure that you read Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and The Assassin's Blade. A little brief recap of The Assassin's Blade. So Celaena Sardathian is her kingdom's most feared assassin. Though she works for a powerful and ruthless assassins guild, Celaena yields to no one and trusts only her fellow killer-for-hire, Sam. When Celaena's scheming master, Arobin Hamel, dispatches her on a mission that takes her from remote islands to hostile deserts, she finds herself acting independently of his wishes and questioning her own allegiance. Along the way, she makes friends and enemies alike and discovers that she feels far more for Sam than just friendship. But by defying Arobin's orders, Celaena risks unimaginable punishment, and with Sam by her side, he's in danger too. They will have to risk it all if they hope to escape Arobin's clutches, and if they fail, they'll lose not just a chance at freedom, but their lives. So in this prequel to Throne of Glass is a collection of 5 novellas, and they offer readers a deeper look into the history of the cunning assassin and her enthralling and deadly world.
And just a lot of heartbreak.
Yep.
Over and over and over.
And a lot of anger from us as readers.
Yes.
Well, take us away with the first novella, Stacy.
Hey. The first novella was The Assassin and the Pirate Lord. Celaena and Sam travel to Skulls Bay to challenge the Pirate Lord, Captain Rolfe, who we learn is a hottie. Arobin's letter orders them to establish an enslavement trade deal with Rolfe rather than to avenge the assassin's death. Horrified, Celaena and Sam work to free the enslaved people and ruin Arobin's deal. So that novella, we really got the Selena's, she's really starting to question Arobin now.
Yeah.
And she's starting to defy his orders.
Yeah, you see a little bit of what she wants to work towards.
Mm-hmm.
And that she's not just an assassin that kills anyone and everyone. She's a little particular. She's like Dexter. She only wants to kill the bad guys.
That's a good point.
So what did you rate that one again, Stacey?
A whopping 2-star.
I did the same. There wasn't anything really wrong with it. It was just slow.
Yeah. It just did not feel like Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. Like, the writing felt different. The pacing felt different.
Yeah.
I don't know what I expected going into this novella, but it just wasn't that.
Yeah.
I was really taken aback. I was like, it didn't feel like a Celaena. It didn't feel like the same world. It was just, I felt like I was just ripped out of something that I knew and just plopped into this whole new universe almost.
And I know we've discussed this time and time again, especially last episode once we got to the end of the book. But probably would have DNF'd, if not after the first novella,
Yes.
The second novella, if we didn't read Throne of Glass or Crown of Midnight first.
100%. I did not like Celena's character a lot in this one. The first one. She was very much the 16-year-old, just that mentality. And I didn't like a lot of the things that she was saying to Sam and her arrogance, yeah. I guess.
Very selfish, very arrogant, very dramatic, very irritating to read.
Yes. Very. But I liked getting that little bit of insight into Captain Rolfe.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where that goes.
I think that's a general consensus for each novella. It's like, wasn't great by any means. There's a lot of issues, but like, I'm excited to see this character come back again in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. With the exception of
Irene.
No, I was going to say Sam.
Oh.
For obvious reasons. I don't so much. Okay, well, speaking of Irene, I mean, we'll get into her character and stuff in a bit, but I didn't mind her so much.
Just the story sucked.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Irene, the second novella was The Assassin and the Healer. And that healer is Irene Towers. Selena arrives in Inish on her way to train with the silent assassins in the Red Desert. She saves a healer named Irene Towers, who is working in Inish to earn enough money to train at the Sesame Seed. Or the Torre Sesame.
Sesame Seed, that's all it is to me.
Yep. Selena teaches Irene self-defense, then gives her money to travel in Torre Sesame.
Oh, I had feelings about this novella. And
One
they
star
weren't
feelings.
great. Yeah. Yes. 1 star. I mean, it could have been less.
Yeah.
If I were allowed.
The 1 star is generous.
This novella, I felt, was very disjointed. Like, it, as much as I thought the previous book felt like it was just, at a left field, this one felt even more so. I had such a hard time connecting with this novella. And, like, the parallels between Irene and Selena, like, the tragedies that they had to live with, had to overcome, were very similar. The shit work for little pay, basically, very similar. But it was really interesting to look at that as this is what could have happened for Selena. Like, this, the way that Irene dealt with her grief and worked through her grief was very different from how Selena dealt with her grief and worked through her grief. And I feel like there was very, like, Irene was not as cold as what Selena was.
Yeah.
After everything that happened to them. It was very interesting to see those comparisons between them.
One of my big issues, and this kind of goes with a good chunk of this series, and I want to preface this by saying I know it's fantasy. I know nothing is realistic. But when it comes to the more real-life moments, like teaching someone how to fight in a 60-second period, and then she's able to take out 3 grown men who are double her size. Like, have a little bit of realism in there.
Yes.
And that was in this novella, and that irked me so bad. Like, as talented as Selena is, no way this itty-bitty healer with no fighting background, no self-defense background, is gonna be able to pick up the skills to take these 3 beefy men down like that.
Yeah. I get that, like, there has to be some level of what she's capable of as for working, like, her work environment.
Yeah.
Dealing with drunks, dealing with men and their advances, stuff like that. Like, I get that there has to be some level of, her own self-defense in a way. But there is no way that you can look at me and say that she was able to do that after that super short training session with Selena. Like, it just, no, it don't make sense. It don't compute at all in my brain.
No.
That was just another one of the things that just took me right out of the story. But I also liked the symbolism of the ruby.
Yes. Giving Irene the brooch and...
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, she felt like that ruby to Selena was like a shackle. It was her connection to Arabin, it was, she looked at it like, I wish somebody would come try to steal it.
Yeah.
And then at the end, her giving it to Irene and it being her symbol of freedom.
Yeah.
Like that, I really like that. That was enough, I think, to give it the 1 star.
Sure.
That's how I'm making it work in my brain.
I would have given it 0 stars, but the only things I have 0 stars on Goodreads are my DNFs, because I won't rate something I didn't finish.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if I had to do like our book clubs thing of like the 0.25, 0.75, it would be like 0.25 stars, and the 0.25 is for the Ruby. I can't even justify saying that's worth a full star.
No, okay, that's fair. But again, same thing as I said with Captain Rolf. Like I am excited to see Irene come back into it, because I do think that she has the potential of being like a good, solid character. Because like I said, she does have a lot of comparisons to Celaena, and I love Celaena.
Well, that's good that you're looking forward to her.
Yeah. Does that mean she's gonna die? Because I'm pretty well, like, I'm holding my breath on every character in this series.
I'm not going to say whether she lives or dies, but I will say that you have guessed her part in the story kind of correctly before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what you said?
Nope. I'm going to have to go back and listen to episodes.
Block Stacy from listening.
I have my side of the episode on my computer.
Learn to hack computers.
I don't remember what I would have said, but we'll see. You'll have to point it out to me if I don't catch on.
Oh, it'll punch you in the face.
It'll be okay.
Again. Like there's not going to be any missing it.
Oh my god. Okay. It was definitely my least favorite.
Yes, by far.
Definitely. Yeah.
By far the least favorite.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason I didn't want to give it 1 star either, because I only gave the Assassin and the Pirate 2 stars, but even those two felt so far from each other rating wise.
Yes.
Like I almost put the
true.
Assassin and the Pirate up to 3 just so it wasn't so close to that.
I was just gonna say that. Like after reading The Healer, it almost made me want to re-rate the Pirate Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are quite far apart in quality.
But on a higher note, all the novellas just go up from here.
Exactly.
So bring us into the 3rd novella.
So the 3rd novella, it definitely, like you said, it went up. Still not quite to where I have my expectations set, but it'll do. It's The Assassin and the Desert. Celaena trains with the Mute Master. He's the leader of the Silent Assassins, and she works with another assassin, Ansel of Briarcliff, to thwart the efforts of Lord Beric, who is plotting to conquer their lands. Celaena and Ansel steal 2 of Beric's horses, and Ansel reveals that she wants to avenge her father's death. The Mute Master punishes them for the theft, but agrees to train Celaena, which angers Ansel. Ansel tries to betray the Mute Master, but Celaena stops her. The Mute Master rewards Celaena with gold to pay off her debt to Arobin. I feel like this one definitely brought me back into, like Celaena's world. Like it felt more similar to Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight.
But man, the betrayal of Ansel, like,
I
was like, the first time I read it, I was so, like, she has another friend, like, I'm so rooting for them, and I was just like, god damn.
Especially, like, how fresh it felt still, thinking about Nehemia.
Yeah.
Like, I just went into this, and I know it's Celaena from the past. I know that. But still, my little brain and my little heart was like, She has another best friend. But yeah, no, she was still, I think, a good character, and she's who Selena needed at the time. But like you said, the betrayal there was just a gut punch.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it.
What did you rate this one?
The Desert, I've rated 3 stars.
Oh. I know, we like said this every episode when we were talking about them. I didn't remember you rating that one so low, but I also don't remember rating that one so high for myself. I'm dropping that down one because I have it in as 5-star, but I'm like, I definitely didn't rate that as a 5-star intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Or did I?
Maybe 4.5?
Yeah, I'd say 4.5 would be, like, yeah. I really enjoyed this one.
I'm thinking mine was a 3.5, not just 3.
Let me check Tome. Yeah, 5 stars. So yeah, I'm gonna say 4.5 stars. Because it wasn't quite what the next 2 were. Yeah. And like I said during one of the other episodes for this book, I'm not rating these novellas as an entire Throne of Glass novel. I'm rating each one, like, as a tiny novella. Yeah. Because, like,
it's on its own scale.
Yeah, I can't rate it the same. Like,
no, you can't compare a 4-star novella to your 4-star, like Throne of Glass, like novel. Yeah. It's on its own scale. Yeah, I get that completely.
Like 300 pages versus 40 pages, or I guess these ones were a little bit longer, but even still, like 400 to 100 pages. Like, that's a big. Yeah. You obviously aren't going to have as much of everything in that little novella.
I do have to say, though, as for, like, as novellas go, she does do a really good job with the character development of the characters, even though we only have them for, like you said, about 100 pages. Yeah. She still, I think, does a decent job at making you connect with the characters.
Except Irene.
With the exception of Irene. Yeah. Yes. But like Ansel, I thought that she was such a fun character. Yeah. Like in comparison with Selena.
Like, I love her personality. I love their banter. I love the banter she had with the other people at the Red Keep or the Red Desert Guild, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I seen a TikTok too that said, you can't tell me that Selena and Ansel were out in the desert and they like didn't kiss. I was like, I could ship that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, they were.
When they get into bitchy moods together, that would be wild.
Yeah. Destructive, I think.
Yeah. Set the whole town ablaze.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the guy's name in it?
Ilias?
Ilias, yes.
Yeah.
Ilias. He was a pretty fun character too. I think. Does he come back into it?
I can't remember if Ilias does. I know Ansel does. Yeah. I can't remember Ilias.
What's next? Where'd we go?
So, novella 4 was The Assassin and the Underworld. A little dip into unsavory waters.
Oh. I wish I could just scrub that from my brain.
Yep. So, Selena returns to Rifthold and reunites with Sam. Arabin contracts Selena to kill Benzo Donoval, whom she believes is pro-enslavement. After Selena and Sam fulfill the contract, Arabin confesses that he lied to Selena and that Donoval was actually anti-enslavement. Selena squares her debt with Arabin and moves out of the keep.
That is such a small scratch the surface of this novella. Wow.
Yeah. So, while she was trying to kill this Donoval, she got stuck, or they caught her, she got trapped into the sewers, they tied her up down there, and those are the unsavory waters, because the sewers began to fill. She was up at the grate trying to get out, Sam was trying to help her, and she went underwater into the sewer water. And
it was all up
3
in her
baths
lungs.
later, she was eating, forcing herself to throw up to make sure all the sewage was out of her system. And then a bunch more baths the next day.
Yeah. That was not a fun thing to read.
Nope, and it wasn't fun to edit and rehash all of that again.
Yeah. This was a good novella, though. This one really felt more like what I was expecting.
Yeah, I gave this one a 5-star.
I rated it 4, but definitely 4.5. Now that we're done the series and I'm thinking back on the episodes, I feel like this would be more of a 4.5.
I think I'm gonna stick with the 5. There wasn't anything aside from the sewage area that I wasn't a fan of. There was a lot of action, a lot of character growth.
Yeah.
A lot of tummy juice being spilt.
Mm-hmm. And knowing what was coming with Sam, this was the novella that I was really holding my breath. I was like, anytime that Sam left Selena's line of sight, I was like, oh my God, it's going to happen now. What's going to happen?
Which was very frequently.
Yes. It was almost like she did that on purpose.
Yeah.
She was, making them disagree on things, or he was off doing his own thing, or she was off doing her own thing. And it's like, there's so many opportunities here. You're stressing me out so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a pretty big betrayal in this one as well, with Arabin. Oh my God. She thought that he was all for the enslavement. She thought she was doing the right thing, and then to find out that, what a gut punch.
Yeah.
I mean, not quite as bad as it gets for her, unfortunately.
Speaking of, bring us into the finale, the last novella.
I don't want to. I thought we agreed that this one didn't exist.
Do you want me to read it?
It's okay. The last novella was The Assassin and the Empire. Selena and Sam are struggling to make ends meet without assassination contracts from Arabin. Sam participates in pit fights to earn money, and they agree to move away from Rifthold, but Arabin demands a higher fee for their exit from the guild. Sam wins a contract to kill Ion Jane and Rourke Farron, but then he's killed, and Selena is then framed for the murder of Jane, and Selena is sentenced to life in the salt mines of Endovier. Arabin reveals that he was the one who has betrayed Selena and Sam to Farron.
And that last line that Arabin says, and I'm going to say it again, I said it last episode, but when he's like, because I don't like sharing my belongings. The rage? The I wanted to go through the book and strangle him up by his toes and chop him up into little bits.
Yeah. Because we don't know for certain that Arabin betrayed her, right? That's not something that we knew before this 100%, right?
Yeah, it was suspected, but not
confirmed that. Yeah. Okay. Because I know, throughout, when Selena was like, oh, I paid for Sam's freedom, pay for my own freedom. I was just like, this is going way too easy. Way too easy. He's not going to let his best assassins go.
No,
they
make all of his money.
Yeah.
They make him the rich man that he is, and he's so invested in Selena specifically. And reading Crown of Midnight and Throne of Glass first, knowing that she's Aelin, and he knows she's Aelin. He's not gonna give her up.
No, that's the ace up his sleeve.
Yeah. And him bringing up to Sam, has she told you who she really is? Yeah. Trying to cause all the tension, he was trying to keep her there and trying to get her to do it on her own before he stepped in and fucked everything up. Yep.
And that was like the way that he reacted to her by saying like that he was sorry, that like he was apologizing for everything, and like that he loved her. Like he didn't want her to go. He was really trying to play on the fact that, you know, what I get from her is that she has spent a lot of time, you know, looking for Arabin's respect, looking for his approval on everything. Like she needed that from him, which makes sense. I mean, she was with him since she was what, 8?
Yeah.
Right? Was it 8?
Yeah.
So like him knowing that was his route to go, but then her reaction to it, she's just like, oh no. Like she was not eating it up like he thought that she was going to. He must have been desperate to keep her not necessarily to himself, but away from anybody else, to send her to Endovier. Like that was just desperation, I think. Ugh. And then the end of that where she starts saying Sam's mantra.
Oh.
I am Selena Sardothian. I will not be afraid.
Yeah. Tears.
Yeah. It just reminds me so much of La Habra in Crescent City.
I bawled reading that because it brought me right back to Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
I sobbed.
So what was your initial reaction, like your thoughts and feelings after finishing the book?
As a whole, it could have been just like one novella. Like there was so much unnecessary. Like the first 2 novellas could have been 2 pages long for all the info that was put in there.
Yeah. Agreed.
And like they do like a little bit of world building for future locations. Skulls Bay, Terra Sesme, the Red Desert, kind of. So, like, there's that. And it is nice to get a little bit of the backstory from these extra characters that come back later in the series.
The issue that I have with it, though, is it feels, for what I learned of these characters, it was like abysmal. Like I still feel like I could have learned that in their books, like in the books coming up.
Well, yeah, that was another thought I had. Like, instead of being just like a shorter side story, it could have been a flashback from Selena, like in the actual series.
Yeah, with a lot less words.
Yes.
It did not need to be a novella.
No.
To me, that was my thoughts between like at least the first 2.
Yeah, like
the desert was a bit different, I think.
Like I feel like the first 2 would have been good as just like flashbacks like during the series. Yeah. The third one maybe like a flashback chapter. Mm-hmm. Could probably or even like bonus short story at the end of a book.
Yeah.
Like not its own. It didn't need to be its own book.
Yeah. Underworld and the Empire, I feel, could have been its own novella.
Yeah.
And it would have been perfect.
Even if they combined the Empire and the Underworld together into one.
Yeah.
Because they're very cohesive with each other.
Yeah. They're very much like, if you were to not know that it was 2 novellas, you would never pick up on a start and end.
No.
Or an end and start.
So what did you rate The Assassin's Blade as a whole? Well, actually, before we get into that, the same question back to you. I kind of jumped away there. But what was your initial reaction and your first impressions for versus now?
Very similar. Like, obviously, like, I feel the same way about how a lot of it felt unneeded. I could have done without most of the first 3 novellas.
Yeah.
I feel like Like a lot of that could have been handled, like you said, as flashbacks, as bonus chapters, not necessarily a full novella. My like actual like full first impression of when I finished it, I was just sort of like, what the actual fuck did I just read? Like just, and not in a bad way. I don't mean it like that. I just meant like that last novella from start to finish was just like whiplash, because you start out with Selena in the wagon on her way to Endovier. So you know anyways going into this that shit hits a fan. That's where she ends up. But it starts with her there, flashes back 11 days. So you have only 11 days to get from her thinking everything was going great, that they were just going to leave and live their life together, to where she ends up in the wagon on her way to Endovier. And yeah, I was angry.
Yeah.
Like, I felt a lot of anger because, she had these expectations of where life was going with Sam, and then literally within 11 freaking days, just the floor just dropped out from underneath her. Man, I'm furious for her. In a sense, and I know like we will probably talk about this a bit more after, but in a sense, I feel like I wouldn't have wanted to start with this book. But I think after feeling this way for Selena at the end of the novellas, I would have liked to know how I would have felt reading her in Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, and like feeling that relief for her. Like,
yeah.
Like I feel like I would have like I can't really gather my thoughts on exactly the words that I should be using right now. But it just would have felt more sweet. I think her winning the like
King's
being the King's
champion.
champion. Yeah, like that freedom. Like, yes, Sarah J. Maas did a wonderful job at making you feel, for her, for Selena. But now reading what happened to her before, I almost want to reread Throne of Glass just to get that, like, I don't know, the full effect of it, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard because, like,
I would have DNF'd it after, like, the first two novellas.
yeah.
Yes. That's my issue. That's why I'm glad that we did it the way that we did it. But I just, now, like, knowing what she had gone through with Sam, like, I'm curious how that would have affected my reading of Throne of Glass.
And, like, this is such a rereadable series that I feel like the first time you read it, you should read The Assassin's Blade third. But then if you reread it, yeah, sure, read it first so you get that little bit of different perspective. And if it's been a while since you read it, you get, like, that full impact. But, like, it's personal preference, and unfortunately you don't know until you read it.
Yeah. I still fully agree with reading it third, like we've done.
Yeah.
Because I 100%, I know myself, I would not have gotten through those first two novellas if I didn't know who Selena was after Assassin's Blade.
Yeah. Like, the other way to read it, like, instead of first or third, is to read it after Heir of Fire. Mm-hmm. The only thing I can think of that reading it before that would be Ansel is brought up without fully being, like, introduced. So it's nice knowing that backstory so you know what's being talked about in Heir of Fire.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to read Assassin's Blade after Heir of Fire, because as hard as it was stopping after we find out that she is Aelin, from what I remember, it would have been worse at the end of Heir of Fire.
Yeah. Yeah, at least with Crown of Midnight, you get that, like you kind of feel like things have been clued up to that point, because now she's she's heading somewhere new. There's going to be new characters. There's
Yeah, and like you find out she's the lost queen of Terrasen. Let's get a little bit of her backstory. Like, let's grab onto a little bit more there and see what happened previously.
Yep. I'm glad that we're doing it the way that we're doing it. Oh, you do a little bit more of the character deep dives. Although I think we did a lot of that, but
yeah, I think we covered pretty much everyone except maybe like Lysandra.
Oh, fuck Lysandra.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I mean, we've talked so much about Celaena, and we've talked about Sam. Irene's been mentioned much. Same with Ansel. Erwin, we have our distaste for him. Rourke we didn't talk about too much, but we did in the previous episode talk about that he gets a lovely end to his life in Crown of Midnight when we find out that Wesley got revenge for Sam.
I love that.
I do too. Go Wesley.
Oh. Yeah. What happened to Wesley after that?
Good question.
We don't know?
I think he still works for Arabin.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but...
Okay.
And then the King of Ardalan, we didn't get a whole lot about him for this one, except for his hearing with Celaena.
Yeah. Celaena was still, like, really, terrified of him.
Yeah.
And I think we pretty well talked about the pacing and structure of it, too. And the world building.
Something I wanted to bring up, though, was a couple of the symbols that were mentioned in this one that come up again a lot in the future books. One of those being the Lord of the North.
Yeah. We got that a lot in this novella.
Yes.
Yeah. Because she talks about it in just about all of them.
Yeah.
Or has, like, seen something or whatever.
Yeah, it's the constellation crowned with a star that guides people of Terrasen and represents survival in the Assassin's Blade. Yeah, for Celaena, it's a symbol of the past that she lost. She's from Terrasen, and as we found at the end of Crown of Midnight, she's truly the lost queen, Aelin Galathynius, the heir to the throne of Terrasen. And she cannot follow the star home because there's no home for her to return to under the rule of the King of Ardalan. So each time Celaena sees the Lord of the North is a moment when she needs a reminder to keep going, to fight to survive. Because we see it in Skulls Bay, we see it again in the Red Desert, and then we see it again in the Empire at the end.
Yeah, at the end, they actually see, like, the white stag.
Yeah, and
it's on the road, right?
And, yeah.
Yeah. Skulls Bay was the constellation.
Yeah.
And then Red Desert, she's just talking about it with Ansel, is that?
I think she did point it out to Ansel as well, like the constellation. Yeah. And then another one that I've seen, I'm like, you're not going to get the whole, like, symbolism for it yet. Like, yes and no, but it's the Terrasen breeze. So it's the scent of pine, and it's symbolic to Celaena's connection to her true Terrasen identity. So the breeze appears in moments when she needs to remember who she truly is, Aelin Galathynius, the heir, the Mela, fire breather, fire bringer, goddess of fire, and the rightful ruler of Terrasen.
Mm-hmm.
I can't... Anyone who's read further will get the pine scent. And you might get it once we start reading Heir of Fire. But...
Okay. I do know that was brought up often as well. Like, just like the Lord of the North. Like, that was...
Yeah, the thing I want you to take from this going forward is a little bit of foreshadowing, is that the pine scent smells like home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Are there any other, like, symbolism?
I've seen some people talking about the Asterian horses but it was just kind of like,
Oh, yeah.
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 They just say, like, when Cassida is gone, so too is Selena's freedom.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I can't believe she sold Horsey.
Yeah.
For, like, literally nothing.
Yeah.
Fucking Arabin. I don't think I've ever been so pissed off at a character before other than Joffrey. Like, one of the, and I still think it's like the biggest theme in so far all of the books is betrayal. Like, there is some form of betrayal in just about every single, so like, whenever a new character is brought up and like I like the character, I'm kind of hesitant because I'm like, Sarah likes to betray.
In this series,
So
there's
now,
a very fine line between loyalty and betrayal.
Frig. Yeah, so like underlying themes would be like self-discovery, empowerment, loyalty and betrayal, and the fight for justice and freedom.
Yeah.
Like that is the most prominent. If you look at like who Selena was starting this book compared to at the end, she's like totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different. Because we go into it and she is this snarky, arrogant
16-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of it, like she's really grappling with the grief of losing somebody she loves, but also the steps that she took that brought it on. You know, like the things that she could have done different to prevent it.
And, like, not only did she lose Sam, but, like, technically she lost Arabin, too. And as much as we hate Arabin reading it, like, he was her father figure, he took care of her, like, as much hatred as she probably has towards the man, there is still a lot of love there. It's a very complicated daddy-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
Girl got some daddy issues. But that's what the shadow daddies are for.
Yeah. How did you find, like, did you find that the pacing was good in the series?
Halfway through, yes.
Yeah. I think that, like, even still with how much I didn't like the first two novellas, I still felt like the pace was still quick. Like, it was still going. Like, I didn't really, not that I can remember. Maybe I did, but I don't think I struggled too bad with it.
Maybe I think mostly it was the assassin and the healer, which is a common theme for all of my issues with this book.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like slow pace, but also like rushed at the same time.
It was the shortest one, right?
Yeah.
If I remember.
It was like 6 chapters. And it felt like 20 unnecessary chapters.
Yeah. Fair. I did find like it was, for the most part, and again, like without really thinking too much onto the healer, but like I did find it was engaging and easy to read.
Yeah.
For the most part, as a whole. Like descriptive, like vividly descriptive, and the characters felt like they were like plotted out well. And like Ansel took me completely by surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like even Arabin, in a sense, like I know, like I had said that, you know, I thought that it was him, that like he was going to betray them, but still, like when he was in her apartment and he was apologizing and like he said he loved her and stuff, part of me was just like, oh, Arabin,
yeah,
do you mean that? Are you being truthful right now? But I think that's just all of what made it such an emotional book. Not really knowing what's going to happen where. It's funny because like overall, yes, we knew what was happening because we read we read Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. But even still, like, there were still surprises in this one. It was good to get Celaena's, like, what brought her to the start of Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
Her, like, what was driving her and her desperation.
And how the hell did she end up in Endovier?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, they don't go into too much detail that in Throne of Glass.
No. It's enough that, like, you know, right? Like, she explains what happened in a sense.
But you get, like,
that,
you
like,
immediately get there's more to it. Because she is such a good assassin. You know, like, this isn't just a cut and dry, she made a bad call, got caught, got sent away.
Yeah. Yeah. It was enough that you can read Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight and still completely connect with her character and understand, but it just adds so much more when you read Crown of Midnight now.
Yeah.
Not Crown of Midnight, Assassin's Blade, sorry.
What would you say the target audience is? Are we still kind of saying, like, late teens and up? Like, there was a little bit of closed door in the Assassin's Blade.
I don't even know if it would be, like, late teens, because, like, I think about what I would recommend for, say, Nikki, who's 14.
Yeah.
Like, I think she would love this. I think it would be okay for her to read this. So, like, I want to say, like 14, like a PG-13 is what I'm going to say. But that all depends on the person.
Yeah, and I know we talked about this before. You asked, like, does it become open door at some point? And from what I couldn't fully remember, but from what I've seen online, there's, like, 2 or 3 scenes in the later books that are apparently open door and more descriptive. But I still don't think they're, like, more than what you would see on Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
Or, like, they're not that descriptive. You know, obviously, that they're going to do the deed. And it's a hot and heavy moment, but I don't think it's
not our smut that we're used to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Yeah. So I'd say, like, 14 and up, but obviously on the more mature side for 14.
Yeah, like, there's no moist folds and throbbing lengths.
Yeah. Pretty well what you would see on a TV show that has romance.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Well, like I said, my memory is very foggy of those, so we'll find out when we get to it.
So far, what we've read has been, like, I want to say, like, PG-13. Yeah. I think that's my rating on it. But, like, anybody who's a fan of fantasy books, it would be a great read for anybody, I think.
Yeah. And it's still definitely less than Game of Thrones. Just do with that what you will.
What?
Less action than Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I think there's less action in the entire series than there is in the first season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it was excessive. Yeah. So overall, what did you rate
3 stars.
3?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did really like the last 3 novellas, but the first 2 were just not doing it for me. And this is where, like, as a whole of a book, no, it was 3 stars. As, like, individual novellas, a few of them were 5 stars for me, but
yeah.
No.
Wow. I went kind of the opposite and rated it a bit higher. But again, I was, like, on the high of finishing it, and I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But I rated it 4 stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not quite 5, because, nope. First half of the book could have been completely cut out of it, and I wouldn't have noticed. But still, like, the last 2, and for the most part 3, third one, I mean, it was great. It had like everything that I was looking for in a Throne of Glass novel.
Yeah.
I just don't think I will ever recover from Sam dying. And I friggin' knew it was happening. And it still wasn't enough to make me, like, cry. I didn't cry reading the scene. But I feel like I just miss him. He was such a good character and we didn't get enough.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah. So now I just have to wait and see what happens. Who Celaena ends up. Because I know Dorian is in this book, but I think that ship has sailed. I think that was the end of Celaena and Dorian's thing. When she ended it in Crown of Midnight? Is that when she...
Yeah.
Was it Crown of Midnight that she, like, was like, nope. Not working anymore.
Was it the beginning of Crown of Midnight or was it the end of Throne of Glass?
I don't remember. I don't think it was in Throne of Glass because I think we still went into Crown of Midnight being like, ooh, I wonder who she's going to end up with.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair.
Yeah, but, yeah, because we were still expecting that, like, love triangle between them. Not expecting, I mean, the love triangle is going to end at some point, but yeah. So I know he's in Airfire, but I don't think anything happens between them. The only which other characters did you say are brought into this? I know
Manon and
Rowan. Probably Rowan. Because he looked real hunky.
Yes, it does.
He does.
The white hair does it every time.
Yeah. I mean, not saying that means that, there's a male character. That means it's going to be a love interest. I'm just expecting or speculating. And I don't know, maybe be Manon. I don't know.
Oh, there's so
this is
much
why I don't theorize anything. Because my theories, like, they don't make sense. I'm just like, And I basically think with my dick, so. I'm worse than, like, a 14-year-old boy. There is a reason I read what I read.
Let's be real, that age goes from 14-year-old to 30-year-old boys.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
So a little preview into what's next.
Yeah.
So, Heir of Fire. I'm so excited.
Me too.
So Celaena has survived deadly contests and shattering heartbreak, but at an unspeakable cost. Now she must travel to a new land to confront her darkest truth, a truth about her heritage that could change her life and her future forever. Meanwhile, brutal and monstrous forces are gathering on the horizon, intent on enslaving her world. Will Celaena find the strength to not only fight her inner demons, but to take on the evil that is about to be unleashed? Da, da, da.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming we're going to get more of the Iron Tooth witches. Iron Tooth witches. Iron Teeth. I think we had that discussion before about which was the right plural. Yeah. So we're going to get more of them. And that's all I can think of right now.
I'm interested to see if I find Manon's story rough at first again, because I was like a lot of other people where her story is a little slower, and I kind of wanted to skim through her parts a little bit the first time I read it, even though it ends up being one of my favorite stories at the end.
Yeah.
So I'm curious now if knowing that the story gets so good, if it's going to, like, excite me more to read the initial stuff.
Yeah.
Or if it's still going to be a little, like, womp womp.
Hopefully not womp womp. Interesting. There's a lot of, like, really good reviews on it in Goodreads, and I'm not reading them, obviously, but, like, just a quick scroll down through, and it's like most of it is 5-star, so that really excites me.
Yeah, out of 1.2 million ratings, there's only 4,000 1-star. And a lot of those are probably just SJ Mass haters.
Yeah. No doubt.
There's 724,000 5-star ratings. That's insane.
Holy crap. So that's like what, half?
A little, yeah, about half, a little less, or sorry, a little more.
Sick.
Yeah, because 57% is 5-star. I gotta see what Kingdom of Ash is. Do not click on it. For the love of God, do not click on it. I will look.
Nope.
So this one only has 800,000 ratings, but it's 4.71 average. There's only 2,800 1-stars for this one. So less than 1%. There is 651,000 5-stars. That's 77% 5-star ratings for Kingdom of Ash.
Crap. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. So, until next week, and until Era Fire. Ah.
Why did we both just vocal stim at the same time? And with that, our Coven summoning comes to a close. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
And follow Caffeine and Conjuring on Instagram and TikTok to stay up to date on our journey through Throne of Glass.